If you think that every job listing that's on LinkedIn or Indeed is a legitimate job listing, you're wrong. Surprisingly, there's a lot of scams out there too. Personally, I've applied for 2 jobs that turned out to be scams. One of them I was able to cut off at the pass before I did any real work, and another one I actually contributed work to and then had to cut my losses and run. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Hopefully everyone is doing well out there in YouTube world. In this video today, we're going to talk about scam jobs and how to avoid getting taken by one. So if you're unemployed, or even if you're looking for a job, you know how hard it is to do that. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort and time, and a lot of energy, both physically, because you're doing all this stuff on the computer, and mentally, because it does take its toll applying for all these jobs. Chances are you're getting less responses than you would like, and you're feeling a bit dejected that they're trying to take something from you. And it's really disappointing because you're in a space where you're desperate. You need money, you need income, you need something. And they're taking advantage of that. And they're going to take your time, which is precious, and take your money, which is finite. So let's talk a little bit about my experiences, and then later in the video, I'll give you specific tips of what to look for to know that the job is probably a scam. The first job that I applied for that turned out to be a scam was a job that I found on Indeed, and it was to work remotely for NBC Studios. Now, this was a few years ago. We were in the middle of COVID, so it felt like it would be a legitimate remote NBC job. I applied for the job. And they reached out to me and they were like, we'd love to do an interview with you, but we're going to do the interview over Google Meetup. So I had no idea what Google Meetup was at the time. I asked a friend of mine and he was like, yeah, it's legitimate. I've done stuff on Google Meetup, maybe not a job interview, but it's definitely like a real place to have these conversations. It could be a real job interview. And let me tell you, the interview was legit. There were a lot of questions. It started out very basic, my experience and things of that nature. And then it got more of what you would expect of a job interview that was serious. How do you deal with issues that crop up? How do you meet deadlines when you have multiple projects due simultaneously? Then, since I'm in design, they asked me for specific design tactics I might use to solve certain problems. They wanted to see portfolio pieces, so I sent them PDFs of art. And I would say the interview probably lasted, since it was over Google Meetup, and there was a bit of a delay between my response and their response, it was pretty decent. It was probably like a half hour to an hour. And it sounded great. Like, they sounded like they were into me, sounded like this was a real possibility. And then they offered me the job. And I was ecstatic because at the time I was not super thrilled with where I was working. It was design, but it was very stale. Like, it was not NBC. And the idea of working for NBC was amazing. So I was excited for this, and the pay was great, and it was remote. Like, what else could you ask for? All the things I wanted in a job. But then they asked me for my banking account information. They're like, we want to get you all set up so we have some place to deposit your pay. We just need your checking account number and your routing number. And immediately I'm like, that's strange, right? Like, if I'm being hired by NBC, a legitimate company, like, wouldn't they first start me out with a contract? Wouldn't they have me talk to HR first? Wouldn't there be more than just this Google Meetup interview anyway? Realistically, no job nowadays is going to hire you after one interview. So I kind of deflected and I was like, well, I'm not quite ready to give that information to you yet. Don't you need me to fill out like a W-4? Is there a contract? Is there an employee handbook? Anything of that nature. And they pressed again for the bank account information, and I pushed back again, and eventually they just stopped responding. And that was that one. That was how I figured out it was a scam. The second one that I'm going to discuss now, which actually just happened a couple of weeks ago. So this one I feel like was on LinkedIn or Indeed, I don't remember specifically. But I do remember liking it because while it wasn't necessarily in my field, it was contract, it was within my wheelhouse of skill sets, and it was make your own hours, which was good because I was actively looking for a full-time job. But if I can also get some work on the side and decide how much time I wanted to spend doing that, this sounded like a great fit. Basically, the job was to take written emails and written correspondence from a company where English is not their first language. And since I'm a native English speaker, just read through them, tweak them a little bit, make them sound more natural, like they're actually coming from someone where English is their first language, someone who understands the proper grammar, syntax, and idioms and things like that. And it was paid pretty well. It was paid per character, I believe. So if they sent me 2 pages, I got paid like $100 for 2 pages, something like that. And it went really well. They were like, great, this first one you did is phenomenal. We think you're amazing. Here's another one. I did about 4 of them. And I was up to almost $300 worth of pay being owed to me. And they were like, you know, you're doing so well. We're working on your onboarding paperwork now and getting all that set up. But in the meantime, here's a few more if you don't mind doing that. But it seemed like it could have been a real job. And the money was pretty easy and straightforward. And they really liked me. So I kept doing it. I sent it back to them. Now, I did start to have some red flags with them. One of them was that the correspondence started going very quickly from just generic customer service type things to correspondence being sent to managers of their company or people who were getting promotions. And it kept talking about how you'd be working from home and you would earn $2,000 a month and you would get commissions and all these other things. So I felt like they were subtly giving me like job benefits if they were to hire me to do something besides what I was doing. And it felt very shady to me. I felt like, I think that they're trying to like drop some hints here, and eventually they're going to be like, turns out the editing job isn't the real job. The real job is selling stuff on eBay for us, because that's what they were talking about. So lo and behold, after the 4th one, they come back and they were like, we want to offer you the position of manager, basically, managing these eBay accounts for them, selling antiques on eBay. And they couldn't do it because of where they were located or some sort of restriction, and they needed someone in the US to handle these auctions for them, to take the funds and make sure they got to the right places, and then you would get a cut of whatever it was that you were selling on eBay for them. So right there, like, that was not something I wanted to do. I was not wanting to get involved in that. The official paperwork that they sent me was just like a simple email where I was supposed to send them back my bank's physical address. So now these people didn't want my routing number or my bank account number, which made it feel safer. They wanted my bank's physical address in my city because they were going to send either cashier's checks or money orders to that physical branch in my name. And then I was going to go to the bank and cash those money orders or cashier's checks, put the money into my checking account or savings account, and then send them their cut of it, keeping my cut. Now that might sound more legit, right? Because you're not giving them your bank account information. You're going to the bank physically, having these cashier's checks or money orders taken care of at the actual bank. And you might think because it's a cashier's check or a money order, it sounds very official and very safe. But the truth of the matter is that if you take those and you deposit them into your account, once you've done that, you are taking responsibility for those funds. So they can say, here's a cashier's check for $3,000. You deposit that into your personal account. You send them $2,000 or whatever. And then you keep $1,000. A few days later, the bank is like, hey, the funds on that cashier's check, they weren't legitimate. So we need all that money from you, not the people who wrote the cashier's check. They're off the hook. Only you are responsible for that. So obviously that was also a scam and something I was not going to put myself into that position for. So now I'm going to give you a few tips on how to spot and avoid scam jobs. Tip number 1. If the job wants to interview you through unorthodox manners, such as Google Meetups or just emailing back and forth a couple times, it's probably a scam. Most legitimate jobs are going to want you to upload a resume first. The resume then goes to a recruiter. The recruiter decides if you should move forward and do an actual interview with people who are going to be working with you. There's a whole process that a legitimate company would have to get you through the interview process. Tip number 2. If the job has not had you sign a contract or look over onboarding paperwork and just starts by asking you for your checking account and your routing number information, it's a scam. No job is going to go straight to your financials before they've onboarded you, before you've gone through a real full interview process. The only thing they want from you is your money. Tip number 3. If the job wants to pay you in strange or unusual ways, like cashier's checks or money orders, it's also a scam. This is just a way for them to take advantage of you in a different way. You think you're getting the money and everything's safe, but they are going to make you be on the hook when those cashier's checks and money orders are not good. Now I want to hear from you below. Leave a comment and let me know if you've come across scam jobs on legitimate job posting sites. Were you able to figure it out before you got too far in the process, or did they take advantage of you? If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. It helps me to know that this information is useful to others, and it pushes the video out to a wider audience. All in all, looking for a job in today's market is difficult enough as it is. It's depressing and distressing to think that there are companies out there that want to take advantage of you when you are down and out. But if you follow these tips, hopefully you will not get taken advantage of.